Good evening, I'm Hex Speedruns, and this is my GDQ submission for Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. This is the Super Mario 3D World portion. This game was originally released on Wii U, and it got a remaster for Switch. And I'm going to be doing a speedrun today to submit it for GDQ. Hope you all enjoy. So I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to get started. There are 4 characters to choose from. Each of them have their own unique abilities. We'll get into that later, but we're going to start off with Toad. Toad is the fastest. And yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. So, this game is pretty unique because while it is a 3D Mario game, it has elements of a 2D Mario game. Meaning instead of collectibles, it's getting to a flagpole. There are green stars, which we need 170 of to finish the run. And there's also going to be introducing our first power-up, the cat suit. This is going to be the main purpose of going fast in this game. Also, new movement tech they added. That midair dive was actually not there in the Wii U version. They actually made a decent bit of changes to this game. The original game, as we said, was on the Wii U, which means no touchscreen. But instead, you can use the gyro to control the pointer. And it actually is a lot better. So the route that we're going to take for green stars is we're going to be pretty much collecting as many green stars that are in the way. We're not going to be going out of our way for too many. And that's the first level. That's Super Bell Hill. There's a lot of running there, but the movement tech will definitely change as we get to later levels. You're pretty much only going to see Mario and Peach. Sorry, not Mario. Toad and Peach throughout this run. Because Toad is the fastest character, and Peach, we can use the speed from the cat suit to hover over large gaps and do a lot of skips. We're actually going to take a secret exit here. We're going to take a secret exit in 1-2 because we want to actually skip the rest of World 1. It's slow and we can figure out to get green stars otherwise. There are going to be 2 secret exits that we're going to end up taking. One here and then one in World 4 as well. There's going to be a hidden pipe. Also, this is our first introduction to these, like, little sub-areas. They give green stars when you complete them, and they're pretty quick, so we're going to try and get as many as we can. Thankfully, there are a lot of backups for green stars, so if we do end up missing 1 or 2, it'll be okay. Also, we made use of that Koopa shell right there. We don't actually have to go down and grab the green star if we throw the shell at it, but it can be pretty tricky because if you miss, then you have to readjust. Thankfully, we got it, and we're all the way on to World 2. This game does move relatively fast, but there will be time for donations because there are a couple of auto-scrollers. I think the thing that sets this game apart from all the other Mario speedruns is that it's very unique. And you have to deal with a lot of level gimmicks. There's no 2 levels that are exactly alike in this category. So this is the first use of Peach. And Peach has a midair hover, which is very useful. As you can see, it's going to allow us to do some cuts. Peach is definitely the most broken character. We're going to see her later on, especially. She's going to become really broken. But one thing that they added in this version that's cool is you can actually skip cutscenes now. And you also have a faster base running speed, but they lowered the jump height of each character. This game hasn't been showed off at a GDQ since like 2015, so it's been a really long time. Also, mashing A during the world map makes these red lines, or these yellow lines go faster. The choice of character is really going to be dependent on if there is more running involved in a level or if there's more platforming. If there's more platforming, then 9 times out of 10 we will just choose Toad. But if there is more if there's more running, we're going to choose Toad. But if there's more platforming, then we're going to end up choosing Peach because of that hover as we saw before. Also, the use of the touchscreen is very important throughout the run because it essentially functions as like a second player. You can do stuff like, you know, interact with objects, break blocks, and also if you rub the green stars, they actually spawn in faster and it saves time. It's a very useful thing. All right, coming into next level, really rolling hills. This is actually where there's a first route deviation. There's the second green star in this level is kind of hard to do fast. So some runners opt to get a later one. I'm actually going to try and do it. Also, first instance of vectoring there. Vectoring is a pretty nice way to move fast if you don't have a catsuit. And even if you do have a catsuit, it can be useful. Because sometimes you don't want to start a whole catsuit dive. Also, very good use of the touchscreen there to light up these panels. Yeah, doing that section is very hard to do fast, which is why most runners opt to get just a different green star. That was the end of Really Rolling Hills. That's a pretty good level. Again, the early game for this run, it's not too difficult. It does ramp up at World 3, and we'll explain why later. The crux of this speed run, the thing that is the most important, is keeping your catsuit. Keeping your catsuit pretty much ensures that you can go as fast as you can. You also have to change your route because there are some green stars you can only get with the catsuit. So keeping the catsuit is like your #1 priority when running this game. Here you're going to see that this is like the first gauntlet of mystery houses, where they give you 5 rooms back to back, and you're going to see me hovering over the green star. It's very important because that saves like a second each time. And so when you do that every time here, it's like 5 seconds. That's a lot of time. Also, this is our first instance of an enemy blockade. Ever so often, they'll just have an enemy appear on the path that you have to defeat. It's nice because it gives a green star every time. And they're not always... They're pretty much not that challenging. Alright, this next level actually introduced the next power-up introduced in this game. Good night. Which is the double cherry. It actually allows you to clone yourself, but it actually is more of a hindrance than it is a power-up for us because it makes the camera function really weird. But thankfully, we only need a double pair of cherries here because there's one green star we have to get that requires 2. The other one, it would require 4, but we can actually skip it. Also, intentionally getting rid of that clone there because it's just harder to control. So this is the last green star, and another thing that they changed in this game is you actually can climb for longer. So before we would have to do like a extension for our climb. If you crouch while on the wall, it actually gives the catsuit more climbing power, but we can actually just reach that in one climb. Which is very useful. Alright, now we have our first castle of the run. This is pretty much like our boss level for the world. And it's pretty much an auto-scroller, so if you want to read some donations, now is a perfect time. Again, this run has many opportunities for donations, which is nice. But it definitely makes up for it with the fast-paced gameplay. I want to make sure to keep this cannon box to the end because there is a green star. Again, missing green stars in this game is not very punishing because there are a lot of backups. But they are slower. So, you know, you want to get this green star because you're really not doing anything else otherwise. Alright, we're going to reach the end of the level. We're going to have our first boss of the run. Boom Boom. If you played 3D Land, you know this guy. Boom Boom. Classic Mario enemy. And in this game, he's not much different. He is pretty much going to be the same. You just have to jump on his head. But with the catsuit, you can actually also scratch him as well. And it does the same thing. However, that is about a second or two slower. So jumping on his head is good for all phases except for the last one. Because the last one, if you jump on his head, he kind of stays like flat for a little longer. You're going to see at the end, when I claw him, he's going to do a different animation. That's just going to be faster. And that is the end of 2 Tank. That's our first boss level, and it is done. And that is the end of World 2, so that was pretty good. But the run is going to get a lot harder from here on out. And the reason why World 3 is hard is because there are absolutely 0 backup catsuits. So if you lose both your catsuits, you are pretty much stuck. You'd have to go back to World 1. Thankfully, we do have the backup, but it's going to be important that we don't lose our catsuit here. Now, even though this is the hardest world, this is also one of the coolest looking worlds, and the first level is going to show you exactly why. We're going to be doing Ice Glitch, which if you repeatedly crouch on ice, you're going to gain an infinite amount of speed. It's really, really cool. That was Ice Glitch right there. Really cool, because it just allows you to go flying. Very, very speedrunner-esque. It's also pretty easy to perform. If anybody watching wants to try it at home, they could. Also, we just got fireworks there. Fireworks is kind of a weird thing in this game. If you finish the level with 1, 3, or 6 on the timer, if that's the last digit on the timer, then you will get fireworks. And unfortunately, it does lose time. You get the same amount of fireworks as the digit you end with, so I got 6 fireworks there. We want to avoid this as much as we can, but sometimes we just forget. Also, nice use of the touchscreen here. We can actually just freeze the room and climb up. Another instance of vectoring being a little faster. Thankfully, Toad moves almost like Sonic in this game, so even base running speed and vectoring can make you go really fast. That was a pretty good level. We did get a little caught up on the bookcase there, but it's all good. Again, the most important part of this world is not losing your cat suit. That would be very unfortunate if that were to happen. Alright, this is our first Captain Toad level to run. So Captain Toad levels are a little different in the sense that you don't choose a character. You're only allowed to play Captain Toad, and he cannot jump. So it's more like a puzzle level. They did end up making the whole game about this gimmick, so it's pretty familiar now. But when it first came out, these were definitely very, very interesting levels. Thankfully, this first one's not too bad, but some of the other ones later on will be a little tricky. Some of the most intricate cycles and optimizations come in these levels, which is really funny. We can do some corner cuts here, just to go a little faster. Oh, please go through. Thank you, Captain Toad. That is our first Captain Toad level to run. We will be doing a lot more of those later. Those are also really nice because they get us 5 green stars. And again, we need 170 to complete the game. We are locked out of World 8 before we get 130. So we need to keep that in mind for our routing as well. And now we're going to see the first instance of a level where you only have 100 seconds. These are cool because they're very short. And they're meant to be a challenge, but for us, it's not going to be that bad. We're also going to skip a green star here because it's really out of the way and really slow. This is another instance where knowing each green star and like how long they take is very pivotal for going fast. Because that's a green star that you would never want to get. Because it's just way slower than any other green star. Ooh. You know what? I'm going to just try this level again. If you try a level again, you get the power-ups you had when you started. And I want to keep my backup catsuit for sure. This next level is actually going to be a water level. There's not too much going on here, so this is a good time for donations. Water levels are pretty generic. There is not really any way to swim faster other than pressing B, but that also makes you go up. Yeah, they definitely decided to go pretty light on the swimming mechanics in this game, which is unfortunate because I feel like they could have done a little bit more. But you get to also see this really cool background. Again, we're going to skip a green star here because the one that we would normally grab is really slow. This is the one we would normally grab if we didn't get the one in 2-4 earlier, the one with the panels. So thankfully right now we kind of reap the benefits of doing that one before. All right, coming up 3-7. This is one of the hardest levels in the entire run, but it is also coincidentally one of the coolest looking levels, and I'm really excited for this one. Nope, no Mario. You're gonna see a lot of precise platforming here and a lot of big skips. Again, catsuit momentum here. Very pivotal. We're going to avoid a death plane right here. And then last but not least, we're going to do another big skip to get that green star off to the side. And there we go. And that's the end of the level. That was pretty good. Again, very hard level. But we did pretty well. And then now we have 3-train, which unfortunately is another auto-scroller. But there's a catch here. We can actually speed it up by jumping back and forth between the two trains. And the farther you jump to the right on the back train, the more you can actually accelerate the auto-scroller. It does make a difference. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to use Toad, and we're going to use the Tanuki suit, which if you played Super Mario 3D Land, you know that one pretty well. These jumps can be pretty difficult, and then losing the Tanuki suit pretty much means you can't do them. But we're going to give it a try for sure. Yeah, Toad's running speed is enough to clear these gaps, which is crazy. They made him really fast in this game. And there we go. Those were the skips. That went really well. So that saves about 20 to 30 seconds, which is a lot, especially for a level like this. It's pretty solid. That was Pom Pom. Her gimmick is she can split up into 6 copies on that last phase. Just 4 and then 6. She'll eventually do more later on, spoiler alert. But the goal right there is to choose the right one. And there is like an indicator, but it can be hard to tell. But thankfully, World 3 went pretty well. That was pretty solid. Unfortunately, we do have one more level in World 3. We have a secret boss blockade coming up with Histocrat, which was one of the bosses they used to show off at the E3 demo for this game. And we're going to absolutely cheese it. So even though we're using Toad and Toad is supposed to have the smallest jump height, we're actually going to be able to just use that new dive that they implemented in this game to hit Histocrat from behind. Yeah, using that dive, we can essentially just skip every intended aspect of this boss. You're intended to wait for snakes to spawn out, but no one has time for that. So that was Histocrat. We're going to see them again, for sure. But later on in the run. And that was World 3. That went really well. I kept both my cat suits. I pretty much didn't have to worry about getting hit. That's really good. I'm really happy with how that went. That world is scary, especially for like a marathon showcase. It is definitely not easy. All right, World 4, again, we're going to be taking a secret exit here. So this is the first big route deviation from the original. In the original, there was a glitch that allowed you to go out of bounds in the world map that runners would use in World 8 in order to avoid having to do 4-2, which is the level with the secret exit, twice. Because you can't unlock the mystery house on the map without getting the real exit. But unfortunately, they patched that in the Switch version, meaning we have to do that level twice. And there's a big like route change in World 4. Also, that was something called ant skip. We skipped the ants. Unfortunately, we have to do a damage boost there, so we don't have 2 cat suits. But with World 4, we end up having to do 4-2, and then we go and do 4-A, which is a blockade, and then we do 4-4, which is the level to the right. And what that does is it unlocks the mystery house normally. So then we have to go back to 4-2 to get the warp exit. So World 4 has changed quite a bit. Alright, so we're going to try this level again because we did lose our catsuit. We only have one catsuit because of the damage boost. So we must keep it because we need the catsuit for the secret exit. And we also need it for one of the green stars later on. Unfortunately, we did have to restart there, but that's okay. Very quick restart. It's like right at the beginning of the level. You also want to avoid that stamp right there. Stamp is another collectibles in this game. But there's no point in getting the stamps. They don't unlock anything for us. Also, doing the platforming there with Toad is pretty hard because, again, Toad's jump is not great. We can't hover or anything like that, so if we were to hit the poison, that's an instant death. Unfortunately, we did lose about 20 seconds there to getting hit and having to restart the level, but that's not too bad. It's not a bad time loss by any means. So now we're going to tackle this boulder blockade, and then we have another fun level, which is actually my favorite in the run. 4-4 is Big Bounce Byway, and it has a lot of cool movement. It is my favorite level for a reason, which you'll see. So very easy blockade there. Yeah, this is the level that I'm like most excited to show off, and I'm not too upset about the changes for the route because this level wasn't in the route before, and I think it's a really cool level, so I'm glad it's back. Alright, coming up is the big skip. Basically, we're meant to take that, like, jelly block as an auto-scroller. But we can actually skip that. There we go. Very good. Very solid. That was a really good level. I'm really impressed with how I played there. That was almost perfect. Now we have 4 Mystery House. So the reason we can't skip this is, again, it has 10 green stars, which you can't back up 10 green stars in this route. That's just too much. So this is pretty much essential for the any % route. You'll notice that every Mystery House has a theme. The first one was Mystery House Melee, which you fight enemies. This one's Mystery House Mad Dash, which is a Mad Dash. So we want to choose Toad because he's the fastest character. Alright, that was Mystery House Mad Dash. That was pretty good. And now we're going to go back to 4-2 so that we can get the secret exit and move on to World 5. This is the last secret exit we'll be taking throughout the run. All the other worlds we have to do in their entirety, unfortunately. But it's okay. Thankfully, since we already did this level like we did before, we don't have to worry about green stars. We can just zoom to the end. This is okay. We can grab a backup catsuit later on. There we go. That was 4-2. Not bad. So that's the end of World 4. World 4 is a pretty cool world. I like it a lot. World 5 is also pretty cool, but it does tend to get really hard. There are a lot of tough levels here. But before we do that, we get 2 Captain Toad levels. So this is another aspect of routing where if you kind of think about it as, oh, you're just doing each level in order, it's not exactly how it works. We're actually going to backtrack to World 1. Now, you may be asking, well, we got the secret exit in World 1. How are we going to get to Captain Toad? Because you need to unlock the levels in order in order to get there. But thankfully, there is a secret exit on the world map in World 5 that allows us to go to the second part of World 1, even though we haven't unlocked it. So doing that allows us to go get that Captain Toad star, which gives us 5 green stars. And again, that's a lot of green stars. You can't just back up 5 green stars. There we go. So now we're going to take that aforementioned secret exit. We're going to go back to World 1. And this is actually going to do something for us later on, which I'll explain after we do 5-1. Doing this at this time right now actually lets us skip a level, which I'll explain more later. Nice. Yeah, that damage was intentional, so we can boost through those bitty buggies. Now we're going to World 5 for real this time to start some of those levels. So we're going to actually use a Koopa shell. Much like we did in the level before, we can use the Koopa shells to grab things that are really out of the way, because they have their own hitbox and they count for whatever. If we throw a Koopa shell and it hits something, we get that item. So getting hit there is unfortunate, but Thankfully, there is a backup level very soon. So that's not too big of a deal. Also, this is our first introduction to Plessy. Plessy is... I don't even really know. She's a dinosaur. And we get to ride her to the end. She's pretty much only in this level. There is a chance you can use her later on, but it's actually slower. It's at a route split. And we're going to choose to do the faster level. But we can pet the Plessy for sure. Also, you saw me do that jump there not to get on the flagpole, so I wanted to avoid the fireworks on the timer. So now here is the thing I was talking about before, where we can skip a level. On the old route, we didn't have enough green stars because we didn't do the mystery house in World 4. But now since we have over 80, we can actually skip the level on the left, which is a really long level. It's one of the longest levels in the run. And we can do this level, Backstreet Bustle, which is another one of those 100-second levels. And that's very short. And there we go. That was pretty good. Again, doing this level is so much faster. Alright, this is the only kind of difficult blockade in the run. Never mind, I lied. Wow, that was so hard, guys. Now this is Sprawling Savannah. This level's pretty cool. We're actually going to use Luigi in this level. Sorry, we're going to use Luigi in this level. And the reason we're going to use Luigi here is because we're actually going to do a little bit of vectoring to save some time. This is probably one of the very few times you guys will see Luigi, except for the final level. But you'll end up seeing why we're going to use vectoring with Luigi, because he can run fast when he does vectoring. Oh. As you can see, Luigi's moving very fast. Definitely faster than just running with Toad. So it's nice to show that off. It is harder to do that in other levels because the terrain doesn't allow for it as much. But in this level, it's pretty open, so we can just vector to our heart's content. Now we have another split path where we can choose 2 levels. I'm actually going to choose to do Cakewalk Flip, which is a lot harder, but it's also cooler looking and it is faster, so... The gimmick for this level is every time you jump, the panels change. They're kind of like the panels in Super Mario Galaxy, if you've ever played that game. There we go. That was a quick level. Yeah, the other level is way slower. Loses about 20 seconds. Now, this one is very hard. I did kind of make it look easy, but it is a deceptively hard level. All right, Searchlight Sneak. We're back to Toad, and this level is one of my favorites because it's really cool, and you do a lot of unintended stuff. Toad running here is so fast. I don't know what happened there. So using the spring, we're actually going to be able to skip a lot of this section. We can immediately go to the end. Usually you're meant to hit blocks with bullet bills to create an opening. But with Toad, it's really easy to just use the catsuit and jump around. And that was 5-7. That level is deceptively hard. If you don't run the game, you might think it's easy, but it is definitely one of the harder ones. Now we're in the final level. This is not an auto-scroller. This is a castle level, but it is a very hard level. There's a cycle that we're going to want to make with a green star and a Kathunk. It's going to be moving about. And if we miss it, we lose about 15 to 20 seconds, so we definitely want to get that. There we go. So that was pretty good. Now we have the easiest boss in the game, King Kathunk. I think I took damage one time to this boss, and I was actually ahead, and I just reset the run because off principle. You should never take damage to this boss. Now this is the end of World 5. World 5 went really solid. But unfortunately, the hardest part is yet to come. World 6, World 7, World 8. They all pose their own unique challenges. Especially World 7. World 7 is a gauntlet. But World 6 is going to be... It is one of the longest levels in the run. Or at least one of the longest worlds in the run. In fact, it's the second longest world in the entire run, I believe. Minus World 8. But no rest for us. No rest for us speedrunners. Gotta keep moving. We're going to start off with 6-1. 6-1 is a pretty interesting level. We're going to use Peach here because, and you'll see why. But we actually get to do some skips here. So yeah, in this level, there are going to be really no big skips, but there will be a lot of mini skips that save a lot of time. And that's kind of the general theme with most of the levels in this game, is that the skips, even though there are a lot of levels with not a lot of big skips, the mistakes and the little optimizations, they definitely add up over time. So this is the main reason why we choose Peach here, is we want to make sure to not use these clear pipes as much as we can, because they put you at a fixed speed. But jumping around them is cool because we can pretty much get all those without entering a pipe once. I did fall in at the end, but that's pretty okay. So that was 6-1. That level, again, is deceptively difficult. And 6-2, this is actually one of my least favorite levels in the run. Thankfully, we skip one of the really annoying green stars in this level, so it makes it a lot better. And there's a lot of exclamation mark boxes that we can skip. Simply because using Peach, we can just hover to the next part. Alright, pretty solid there. Again, that level is deceptively difficult. I probably made it look way easier than it actually is. It's pretty solid. We keep moving. And then we have another level, which is really cool. So this next level is based off of a cycle. It's basically, you're meant to ride a raft that moves throughout the level. But that's really slow. And what we can actually do is we can pretty much skip using the raft mostly up until the end. Now, if we get there fast enough, we can actually catch a raft as it's leaving. And if we miss it, unfortunately, we have to wait 20 seconds for a new raft. But we still have to collect green stars along the way. So we can't just go to the end. What we're going to do is we're going to go backwards in this pipe. That was scary. Nice. All right. We made it. So yeah, moving fast there is nice because it allows us to take this raft that's already leaving. And we pretty much played that pretty cleanly. So I wasn't really worried about missing the cycle. Yeah, that was very solid. So now we have another blockade. I'm not even really sure what this guy's name is, but it's RNG. So, lovely. So that was that. That was pretty good. And so this next level This is the last level with catsuits for a very long time. This is the last spot we can fill up on our backup catsuits pretty much for the next like 10 levels. Fortunately, we did already keep 2, so we're looking pretty okay. We can do a pretty large skip here. We're actually going to end up on that part of the level. We're normally meant to take a exclamation mark block to warp over here, but no need for that. Also, first instance of a spin jump there. You can do the spin jump in this game. There we go. That's 6-6. We have 2 catsuits going on to the rest of the run. And that's pretty much the last we will see of a catsuit choice for a while. So we gotta lock in here because we can lose both our catsuits in a hurry if we're not careful. And right here we have Fuzzy Time Mine, which is an auto-scroller. This is probably a good spot for some donations. We can skip a decent bit of it, but it's not very marathon safe, so I'm not going to go for it. And we'll do some auto-scroller advancements later on, but this is a good time for some donations for sure. I did not know where I was for a second. So now, this is pretty much auto-scroller here on out. There is a little bit we can do to advance it. We hop up onto here. Grab that green star. We come back. I almost just got crushed. You know what? Let's just take this normally. You can reach that earlier, but I couldn't do it. It's okay, though. We did most of the level clean. It's alright. Then next up, we have our last mystery house for quite a while. The last one is going to be in World 8. But this one is Mystery House Throwdown, I think, which is all about throwing baseballs. And it's cool because we can use the gyro to pretty much cheese every room. There we go. It's really funny how fast we're able to do just every room in there. Alright, this is the last level of World 6. And unfortunately, it is one of the longest levels in the game. It is a huge auto-scroller. Not much we can do about it. So this is a great time for some donations. That was definitely intentional. I was just doing some auto-scroller swag. I didn't almost just die, for sure. No, no way. Should have broken the block. Nice. There we go. We didn't get hit, thankfully. Getting hit in this level is like, it's some of the most demoralizing feelings you'll ever feel in your life, because then you know you have to do the next part in only one cat suit, which is very hard considering some of the levels we have coming up. So that's the end of World 6, except we have another one of those blockades. We're going to fight Motley Boss Blob. So this guy's gimmick is he turns himself into some blobs. And that's pretty much it. You're meant to use a double cherry here. We're only going to get 2, ideally, because they can be really hard to control if they're more than 2. So we're just going to leave the cherry out. Nice. This is why I didn't want more than one cherry, because it's impossible to get them in the pipe. But the cherry, I can't believe that the cherry just spawned under the green star. That's really funny. That is the end of World 6 for real this time. But now we have the gauntlet that is World 7. World 7 is very hard. World 7 is a demon. There are pretty much no backup catsuits except for one level. Pretty much all these levels are over either lava or insta-death pit, which both kill you in one hit. So we gotta lock in. So now we're going to use Peach here to skip this end section. Usually we destroy that fire bro. But we can actually just skip it. It actually doesn't save that much time to do that. But it still looks cool. So we have to do it. Alright, now we have personally my least favorite level in the run, Red Hot Run. And the reason this level is my least favorite is because it's really easy to have your inputs be dropped. And again, you don't want to lose a catsuit in a run like this, especially in World 7. Because we need as many as we can get. There we go. Very solid. That was a good level. Bum, bum, ba-dam. Alright, so this next level, Boiling Blue Bully Belt, it's hard. It's like this conveyor style level where platforms spawn above lava. It is very hard. I don't know what happened there, but it's okay. We roll with the punches. Roll with the punches, baby. I really thought we were dead when we hit that bully, but that's fine. Alright, and that was Boiling Blue Bully Belt. Very hard level. That was also 7-4. It says World Castle. I always say World 7. I don't know. So now we have a split path. We are going to go to the left because it's just a lot faster. We also get to take care of this guy. This is the worst blockade in the run. It's very hard. Whoa, he just sniped me, dude. That's insane. That's crazy. He actually just sniped me. So now, unfortunately, we are going to get a 2-cycle. 2-cycle is kind of rough, but it is what it is. That was insane. I got sniped, dude. Bro, I haven't been sniped like that in so long. All right, now we have our backups, thankfully, which is really nice because we need backups at ASAP right now. We're at 1 catsuit, and if we had to do the rest of the level in just 1 catsuit, I'd be scared. Thankfully, again, this level has backups. Very exciting. Oh, well, we only got one cat suit. That's okay. That's fine. Unfortunately, we do only have one Katsu to play with for the next 2 levels. But that's manageable. Surely we don't get hit. Surely we don't get hit. It definitely wouldn't happen. Now we have our last Captain Toad level of the run. Captain Toad gets thwomped, and we can definitely see that this is an interesting level with a lot of moving parts. But with our handy-dandy friend, the touchscreen, it's no issue. I don't know who it's an issue for. Definitely not for me. Yeah, using this touchscreen, we can pretty much avoid having to worry about any cycles. And we can go at our heart's content for like a lot of these thwomps, because we can just freeze them. That was pretty good. Alright, next level, Simmering Lava Lake. This is another one of my favorite levels because it is just an absolute movement masterpiece. And when you get it to go right, it is freaking epic. But it also is very hard. And there are a lot of one-hit KO spots, so we gotta be careful. What? Bro. Alright. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to load a different file. And what that's going to do is it's going to take me back to where I was before. And I'll get my catsuit back. That's really unfortunate. That was so sad. I don't know what happened there. I tried to do a cat scratch, but the green star dropped my input. It's okay. We'll just keep going. It's alright, no big deal. Thankfully, it was early on, and we were able to get our catsuit back. Unfortunately, if I had, you know, kept my backup catsuit like I was supposed to, wouldn't have been an issue. Also, those guys kill you in one hit, so very important not to get hit by them. You know what? That is actually pretty much the first, like, big mistake of the run, so I'm not too upset about it. And that's okay. I was just very surprised that I got that happened. That hasn't happened to me in so long. But it's okay. We move on. We push forward. We're gonna need this boomerang suit for a green star later on. Better just get it now. This is the aforementioned green star. And there we go. Last time I did a GDQ submission for this game, this level went horribly. Really glad it didn't do the same this time. Now we actually get to fight Bowser. Bowser's really easy to cheese. We can actually just swipe the bombs he throws at us right back at him. And if you hit him in the face, it actually does triple the damage. So we only need to do that 3 times. And that is the end of World 7. So, unfortunately, we did have that one mistake. But, other than that, not a bad World 7 by any means. We seem to be on pace right now for around like a... I think we're on pace for a sub 140. For sure. Which would be really cool to get in a submission video. It's like a no reset. Now we're moving on to the final world of the run, World 8, and this world is almost just as hard as World 7, but thankfully we do have backup catsuits and a decent amount of levels. But again, listen, World 8 ain't easy. First level here, Spiky Spike Bridge. It's not going to be too bad. We got a catsuit here. So now we have 2. There is a cycle that we want to work to make that's towards the end of the level. But it's not too bad. There we go. Very solid. Thankfully, that went pretty well. The cycle at the end, it is pretty lenient, but unfortunately, it's like moving away from you. So if you're just a little bit behind, you won't be able to catch it. So this right here is Cookie Cogworks. This is the level that we actually do instead of the Plessy level. And it actually is faster to do this level, but this level is a considerable amount harder. We also skip a green star, so we're going to have to get one later on. Unfortunately, fumbling a little bit in my movement right now. That's okay. There we go. Pretty solid. Not bad. Minus that one little, like, fumble of movement, but that's okay. Now we have our last auto-scroller of the run. This is a perfect time for some donations. We're also going to see Pom Pom again. So shoutouts to Priceless Nightmare. We love the glasses. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. And there we go. So now we have Pom Pom again. Again, very easy fight. Alright, now we are done with the beginning. The levels are going to get a little bit harder here. We're going to start off with Footlight Lane, and the gimmick here is that you can't see the level unless you use the touch screen or unless you're walking. But thankfully the level is the same every time, so we can actually just memorize the location of the path. This is one of the harder levels, though, so I'm going to lock in for it. That cut back there is a lot harder than it looks. Very solid. Yeah, that is one of the harder levels in the run, so I kind of made that look easy, but it is very hard. Now we have Bowser 6, which is cool because this is meant to be auto-scroller. But we're not going to make it an auto-scroller. In fact, we're going to make it not an auto-scroller. You can pretty much skip almost every auto-scroller section in this part. There we go. Very good. So notice that we barely used the platform there. We're going to grab this lamp because we have to grab a backup green star here, unfortunately. And this is pretty much the fastest green star to get. Alright, this last part is pretty hard. We're going to do something called candle skip. We're going to use these candles on the wall to avoid having to use an auto-scroller. Unfortunately, they can be a little finicky. Yeah, again, they can be a little finicky. I kind of had a mini heart attack there. That's okay. It's all right. We move. We move. And that is pretty much one of the last levels of this entire run. We're going to have Bowser Mystery House, which is Mystery House Claw Climb. It's based entirely off the cat suit, but we kept both our cat suits, so we don't even need one. And after that, we're going to have Grumblump Inferno, 2 more bosses, and then the final level of the run. There we go. That was Mystery House Claw Climb. Now we have Grumblump Inferno, which is, again, another auto-scroller. Unfortunately, you can't skip most of it like you did with that Mystery House level. But you can still do some really cool stuff. Also, little known fact, ground pounding on these guys makes them go faster. we go. That was Grumble Up Inferno. Pretty solid. Got hit, unfortunately, but there's Catsuit we can grab later on. In fact, we might actually not even need it. We'll see. Alright, we have Motley Boss Blob again, except for the fact that he is actually a little harder this time. So every time he pounds on the ground, he's going to shoot out lasers, which is why I'm actually using Peach here. This way we can just hover over the lasers. You can actually see me grab more double cherries. This way, if I get hit, it doesn't automatically mean I lose my catsuit. And there we go. Down goes Motley Boss Blob. Right, the last one we have is, last person we got, Mistocrat this time. It's like Histocrat, but they're pink. We got a backup catsuit here, just to be safe. There we go. All right, all we have left is one more level. That's it. And it is the final level. Bowser's Castle, the big tower of Bowserland. So this level is actually going to be pretty interesting because it's not even really that much of a level. It's like a half level, half boss fight. But there's going to be an auto-scroller later on that we're actually going to be able to skip by going off screen and using audio cues and the rumble on the controller. Also, we're going to use Luigi for this last one. We don't have to collect any green stars here, thankfully, so it is just a straight shot to the end. And that's it for the actual level portion. This last part's going to be a little bit of an auto-scroller, and then when we get to that part up there, which I'm hovering my cursor around, that's where the actual skip is going to happen. So we can get some donations in right now. I'm just going to use this time. If I were in the run, if this gets accepted, use this time to say thank you to GDQ for having this run in. Thank you to the community, the original Wii U community, which is what got me into this game. Thank you to all my friends that I met running this game, and just thank you to everybody who's watching. I really love this game. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm just really glad that it could get a chance to get shown off at GDQ. Because it really deserves to be, especially this version. And if it's me who's doing it, then I'm glad it's me. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to take off my headphones because I need to use an audio cue. I'm going to need quiet for this because I need to hear Luigi off screen, and it's going to be pretty quiet. I'll let you guys know when it's done. Nice, there we go. Very clean. Alright, so once we hit this POW block, it's not going to be time, but that's going to be pretty much the end of the gameplay section. Nice. Alright, now all we got to do is just watch this cutscene, hit the flagpole, and then we are done. This was a very, very solid submission. There were pretty much only like 2 or 3 big mistakes throughout this entire run. And without those mistakes, this could have been pretty close to PB. My PB for this category is a 137.57, so getting a sub 140 is just super solid. If I got that in a marathon setting, I'd be more than happy. So time is going to end when the flagpole changes from Bowser to Luigi. And time. All right. Not bad. We take those. Very happy with that run. And thank you for watching, whoever is looking over submissions. If you enjoyed, consider having this run in. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to whatever happens with this, and I'll be at AGDQ regardless. Thank you for taking the time to consider me. It's an honor, and I hope to see everybody there, and hopefully I'm on the big stage.